Greetings, literature students. This is the last video you'll receive from me. Don't be too sad. We have to move on, don't we? All things come to an end. All good things come to an end. Before I get into anything to wrap the class up, let me just say that the final is the last task. I know that you're all still working on the drama papers, which I have shortened, hopefully, and made easier for you to complete. The final is going to supply you with literature, so you don't have to memorize anything except for the plays, which will be a recent experience, so hopefully it will be on your minds. I will supply a story with some questions and a couple of poems with some questions. So the idea is to analyze as per what we've learned. If you want to do any studying for that, I would say look over your poetry notes. You probably remember all the parameters of fiction and drama. They're quite simple. You know, plot, point of view, character setting, all that. You might want to just sort of review your poetry section. You know, rhyme and meter and stuff like that. I will send the final as a document on the last day of class, which will be Thursday, right about the same time as, maybe I'll send it a little earlier, maybe something like 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock on Thursday, and then you have, say, 4 hours. There's one of you that has got back to me and said that you don't get home till the evening, and can you have longer? Of course, and I've given you permission for that. But basically, you can fill out the just send the answers to the questions via D2L message, or through you can actually type onto the document itself and send it back as an attachment. Whatever's easiest for you. Late work, I think we're all fairly much caught up. I think there's one of you still catching up with videos and some of the in-class assignments. Looks like you're going to be able to do that. And then I'm waiting for a drama paper from 3 of you, and hopefully that will be coming soon. You do have until midnight the night before the final. The reason why I can't extend things longer than that is we have a very quick turnaround next week after the final week to submit grades, and I do have some 50 finals plus a lot of late work that's coming into grades, so I'm going to be working around the clock to meet that deadline. So I had to sort of cut things off at some point. I've been trying to give everybody more time than usual to complete things, and of course, because we've moved online, I've shortened the syllabus, and the work is actually less than what it would have been had the class continued, the physical class. So any late work and the drama paper, get to me this week, and if you can, do a little bit of review on your poetry notes to get ready for the final. It's been a challenge. I think the hardest thing about the experience of moving from a physical class to an online situation, which is new for a lot of us teachers as well as you students, is not so much this stuff, making videos, talking about literature. That's all second nature, and I really enjoy it. I wish that I could have spoken longer about the plays and covered more of the aspects of the plays, but of course the logistics of the situation meant that I had to be more succinct and cover things more quickly. But that isn't the greatest challenge. The greatest challenge is that I have 50 students, only 4 from this class, but my other 2 classes, my mythology classes, are full. And everybody's working at a different speed or a different rate. So I've been getting a lot of work sort of dribbling in some cases 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks late, papers and things like that. So the hardest challenge for me has been keeping up with the correspondence with students and keeping the grade book up to date. It's been a daily task. So the logistics has been more challenging than anything for this particular class. I wish that I had more time to respond to individual student work, which I would have had the physical classes continued, but it just wasn't feasible for me to write responses to some 150 papers that have come in over the last month or so. So, there are some things that we had to sort of change approach on, and it was probably challenging for you as it is for me. It helps when you have a physical class period and you show up and you attune yourself to the work. It's a lot harder when somebody sends a video and says, okay, do it when you can. I'm sure that was a challenge for you, and you're all dealing with lots of ephemeral issues, work. Some of you have been moving, living situations, relatives, things related to the pandemic that we're all going through. We have lost a little bit of material in making that transition. I had to shorten the syllabus to accommodate the switch over to the online classes, which was a difficult logistical situation for the university at large, and everybody around the world is having to do this. So we covered less material, and we only really scratched the surface of literature. Literally just took a fingernail across the surface of the three genres that we studied for this class. I hope that it gave you an understanding of the literary canon, what types of works have been memorialized by culture, the scope and the range of stories that can be told, even just in the short story genre. If you apply that to novels, you get an idea of just what people are capable of. I mean, the stories like Garcia Marquez that we read, all of the different styles of narration and points of view, and the things that fiction can do, the stories that it can tell, the types of characters it can create, and the narrative differences between each author and the choices that they make for each particular story that they craft. I hope it gave you an example of that. All the things that are possible within the poetic realm, from the rhymed to free verse to strict meter to very loose open speech, confessional, poems that tell stories, poems that are emotional and lyrical, other poems that play word games. We just had a tiny experience of what's possible in the poetry world, and stuff is coming out all the time. So there's lots of contemporary poets that don't even make it to that book yet, our text yet. So it's a world in flux and always being added to. And lastly, the plays. We experienced two dramatically different plays from periods that couldn't be further apart. I mean, one from the very beginning, the cauldron, the crucible of playwriting, and the other from our more contemporary side of the art form. Hopefully those two plays gave you a bit of an experience with the dramatic world and what's possible in that realm. Also, something that's being added to musicals, comedies, farces, all kinds of stuff in the dramatic world. Script writing is related to playwriting as well for television and film. What I'm hoping is that you got enough from this class to where you will continue to be curious and that the journey will not end. Some of you hopefully will take other perhaps literature classes. I'm teaching Shakespeare in the fall if anyone's interested, or related classes. I'm also teaching mythology, which deals with early literature, ancient literature in a lot of cases. So there's a lot of crossovers between those two classes. But not just in your formal schooling experience. I hope that the things that you've read in this semester will whet your appetite for experiences of a similar nature, and that you'll develop a reading habit and keep a door open to new experiences like the ones that you've had for this class. One of the best comments I've ever received from a student, which I take as a very high compliment, I heard from them 10 years later, and I started teaching about 13 years ago. So this is one of my earliest students, and I heard from them on Facebook, and they told me, "Yeah, I can't say I became a literature major. I can't say that, I developed this undying passion for all the things that you love. But after taking your class and learning how to analyze texts, it gave me the confidence to become a better reader. And I developed a reading habit of 1 to 2 books a month, which I've kept all through the years since I took that class, and it's enriched me as a person. And I read all kinds of stuff. It can be, sort of historic novels. It can be classic novels. It can be brand new contemporary novels, experimental novels that are coming out. And it was just fiction. They didn't talk about poetry or theater. But that to me was like the best outcome of having a student and teaching them this discipline, is for them to open the door to new reading experiences and to realize that reading itself is a form of breathing. Your brain needs it. And when you are watching television and films and playing video games, your brain is very passive. You're just a mere recipient of ideas. But when you're reading, you actually have to make the story happen. You're the one that has to produce it in your mind. It's a much more active and experiential type of thing. And I think it's really enriching, and it's good for you to be in that particular situation. So I'm hoping that all 4 of you, or 5 of you, if you're watching, can move on in the future and have similar experiences to this class, where you yourself can analyze and determine what's going on in these texts. So hopefully, if nothing else, it'll give you that confidence to become a more avid reader, a more curious and hungry purveyor of information coming through the page in any form. So that's my hope. We'll leave it there. I'm a big believer in autodidactic learning, people who learn on their own, not needing class and instruction, that people who just have the curiosity to follow different paths and sort of explore different realms on their own. I know some of you already have that. I see you coming to class with books and things like that, and that's thrilling to me. The formal learning ends with this class, but hopefully you'll take the experience on and become open to forms of literature in your own experience. So you have the final drama paper to send to me, and then I will send the final to you, which you are to return. It's supposed to be a timed final. I'm doing it loosely. If you return it within 3 or 4 hours, that's fine with me. Remember to do paragraph responses, not sentence responses, and you should all be fine. I don't think it's going to be anything that trips anyone up. People tend to do really well with it who have gone through the class, all the different sections of the class, so I anticipate that you will all do well in that regard. It's been fun, it's been interesting, it's been challenging. I've enjoyed the physical portion of the class and getting to know you, but also this online part of it, which brought out some interesting things that perhaps wouldn't have happened had we continued in the same vein. So we'll try to take the positives from it. I wish you all well. I hope you have a great summer, and I hope to run into you again in future classes or just around the college. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe.